Wonder Egg Priority is an original anime series created and written by Shinji Nojima and animated by Cloverworks, the same studio that worked on Shadow's House and The Promised Neverland. This show is both a slice-of-life series and psychological horror story that focuses on the lives of 4 teenage girls who want to bring back someone in their life that has died. The main protagonist is a shut-in named Ai Oto, who one night while taking a walk is led to an abandoned underground mall with an arcade and offered a strange egg for free by a mysterious voice. After receiving the egg and not knowing what she should do with it, she heads out again the next night only to find herself in a dreamlike world referred to as the Egg World. While in this other world, the voice urges her to crack the egg, and when she finally does out of frustration, a teenage girl hatches from it. It's not long until Ai and the girl are chased by these small knife-wielding creatures wearing masks that travel in packs called See-No-Evils. These creatures target girls hatched from Wonder Eggs. In general, the objective of Ai and her friends while in the other world is to protect the girls that they hatch from eggs and defeat their Wonder Killer. A Wonder Killer is the personification of the girls' trauma that drove them to committing suicide. This usually manifests itself as a monstrous version of someone they knew in their life that contributed to their death. After successfully defeating the Wonder Killer, Ai learns that she could revive her friend Koito, who mysteriously committed suicide, by saving more girls in the Egg World. As Ai frequently returns to the underground facility to buy more eggs, she meets and befriends 3 other girls, Neru Aonoma, Rika Kawai, and Momoe Sawaki. They all desire to bring back someone who has committed suicide, but each girl has their own reasons. Wonder Egg Priority is a surprisingly dark show that deals with serious subject matter like abuse, harassment, and suicide. I was shocked by just how heavy this show can be at times and the extent to which they highlight these issues. Most of the situations that led up to a girl's suicide, particularly the ones that involved abuse or bullying, are very realistic, and there is enough background information provided so that you really do care about the character and sympathize with them. Not only do I love how dark and mature this series is, but also how wonderfully bizarre it is as well. The premiere episode hooked me within its first 6 minutes due to just how weird, mysterious, and unsettling it was. There's a scene in the premiere where Ai's walking down the hallway in the Egg World and she sees 2 girls riding on someone's locker. When she stops, they turn around laughing, but their eyes are pixelated and cannot be seen. Ai is terrified and runs inside the bathroom and into the stall. Then the toilet paper starts moving and a mouth forms. The voice coming from the toilet paper tells her to crack the Wonder Egg. This is just one small example of how strange and creepy this show can be. At the same time, there are plenty of lighthearted moments that help to balance out the more serious scenes and horror elements so that the show never becomes too dreary. Simply watching Ai and her friends interact with each other is enjoyable. Although I don't like how certain characters were handled during the special episode, for the most part I think they're written well. Ai is the most immature and innocent out of the group and is typically very friendly. She was bullied at school for her looks due to having heterochromia, a condition that results in 2 different colored eyes. Ai became a shut-in after Koito killed herself, and throughout the series is weighed down by regret. She continues to wonder why her friend chose to take her life, and this is a mystery that is set up early on. Neru is smart, rational, and the quietest one in the group, but is never afraid to say what's on her mind and tends to speak bluntly. Rika is a foil to Neru in that she usually acts based on her emotions and is typically the most energetic. While I wouldn't exactly call Rika the heart of the group, she definitely keeps things lively and is usually in a good mood. When the character is first introduced, she comes off as a selfish and sensitive freeloader, but that's not the case at all. Rika may seem abrasive and can be more than a little vain, but she's quite fragile underneath the facade she keeps up around her friends. There's a lot more going on with the character than what her shallow exterior might suggest. Out of the main cast, she is not only the most flawed, but also the most interesting and sympathetic. Rika used to be a part of an idol group, but quit after her actions caused the death of a fan, a girl named Chami. She feels guilty over what happened and wants to revive her. Rika is such a cool character despite her numerous personal issues and flaws. I love her personality and how assertive she is. Rika often butts heads with Neru and Momoe, causing tension within the group. Momoe is the weakest character out of the main cast and is the one I care the least about throughout the series. She is often mistaken for a handsome boy and gets asked out by many other girls at school. This frustrates Momoe, who just wants to be seen as a girl and loved for who she is. I would have had some sympathy for the character if she didn't go around always wearing boyish looking clothes. She rarely does anything to her appearance to deter any misunderstandings about her gender, and outside of a few moments, she doesn't really act feminine. There really isn't much to say about Momoe. She's quick-tempered, and I guess you could say she's a little naive. Momoe wants to bring back her friend Haruka, who she rejected after trying to be romantic with her. This character is really lacking in substance and doesn't grow by the end of the show. At most, the character is used to help tackle one of the show's many themes. The theme of beauty or attractiveness is consistent throughout the season, with characters frequently commenting on someone's physical appearance. Wonder Egg Priority is as much a coming-of-age story as it is a slice-of-life drama or a psychological horror series. For those that want to dig deep into this show, there seems to be a lot to uncover. This series reminds me a lot of Fooly Cooly and a horror anime that came out this year called Underside Picnic. This show isn't as frantically paced or as difficult to grasp as something like the original Fooly Cooly, but there's a decent amount of symbolism and a deeper meaning to certain things. This is one of those type of series that you'll likely notice more things the more you rewatch it. The way that Ai and her friends initially connect through revisiting the underground facility and constantly returning to the egg world despite the danger is very similar to the two protagonists in Underside Picnic. Anyway, I like the way that Nojima handles the character drama, and each of the girls has at least one episode that focuses mostly on them. There are a few scenes where the girls get into some really heated discussions which would result in some of them walking away. I kept expecting a falling out to happen between Rika, Neru, and Momoe following these moments, but they never happened. I appreciate that Nojima didn't write them in a way that would make them petty or hold grudges over every little disagreement. The Rika and Neru centered episodes have some excellent dramatic scenes and serve to flesh those characters out. In general, the English dub voice cast gives some good performances. I had to get used to Michaela Krantz's voice acting for Ai, but it eventually grew on me, especially once I understood the character more. Dawn M. Bennett and Michelle Rojas are a perfect fit for Neru and Momoe respectively. The standout performance for me was Anais Kanenis as Rika. Although I've only seen a few clips of the Japanese dub, I can tell where the dialogue was likely changed. Rika uses American slang in the English dub, which is something that could seem out of place and even cringe depending on the show, the character, and the line delivery. In this case, Rika using modern slang totally fits the character, and Kanenis delivers her lines in a way that sounds natural. The presentation for this series is outstanding across the board. The character designs by Saki Takahashi are creative and unique. I love Ai and Rika's design, as well as a few of the designs for the girls that they hatch from the Wonder Eggs. The designs for many of the Wonder Killers and other characters from the Egg World that are introduced later in the season are very creepy looking. The designs for two characters in particular add a layer of unease to a couple of scenes near the end that were really horrifying and suspenseful. In general, the character artwork is top notch and looks great against the backgrounds. The animation is immaculate, with each frame bringing the characters to life in a way that is expressive and purposeful. During fights, the fluidity helps to convey a sense of speed and accuracy, but sometimes they slow things down for impact or dramatic effect. The action scenes are really dynamic and exciting. Cloverworks makes full use of the camera, often shifting perspectives and showing things from different angles. They use CG most of the time for the See No Evils, so they stand out from the 2D characters, but in this case that's not a bad thing. As I mentioned before, this show is bizarre and the egg world is surreal, so if anything, these CG creatures fit in with everything else. I also think it adds to the creepiness of the See No Evils by the way they look and move around. One cool thing that I like about the See No Evils and the Wonder Killers is how different color splatters appear on the surfaces around them as they move. Another thing that I like about the action scenes is the fact that Ai and her friends fight using mundane items, mainly school supplies. Ai primarily fights with a pen that turns into a mace, Rika uses scissors that turn into separate blades, Neru has a protractor that turns into a sniper rifle, and Momoe uses an umbrella. Every fight scene and horrifying moment is complemented by awesome background music. This show's soundtrack is astounding, and there are several upbeat tracks that play while Ai and the other girls are hanging out that are very relaxing to listen to. Brand New World, Friendship, and Sophisticated Girl by Dee Mouse were three tracks that I liked from the very first time I heard them. Anyway, Wonder Egg Priority's narrative starts off strong, and Nojima doesn't slow down the pacing with exposition. I appreciate the fact that some things are kept a mystery, such as how the owners of the underground facility, Akka and Ura-Akka, make the Wonder Eggs. The penultimate episode primarily focuses on their tragic backstory and provides more context as to why certain things are happening. The recap episode was a total waste of time that could have been used to expand on certain things introduced in the second half. I'm not one of those people who automatically dismiss recap episodes, but in this case I don't think it was needed. The story up to that point was easy to follow and no explanation was necessary. After rewatching the series, I've only managed to find one minor inconsistency, which is that the first girl that Ai saves seems to know about the egg world, but the other girls introduced later on didn't. Aside from that, my biggest gripe with this series is the special episode and how it played out. Episode 13 is 46 minutes, and a little over half of it is yet another unnecessary recap. I would be a little more forgiving if they hadn't already done a recap in episode 8. I don't like how this series ended, and a part of me wishes the special episode didn't exist. The reveal of what happened with Koito is underwhelming, and there is something revealed about Neru that initially threw me for a loop. After watching the series again and paying close attention to Neru's dialogue and other things revealed about her prior to that episode, things started to add up. Regardless, the special episode was unfulfilling, and I hate where it leaves the group as a whole. All in all, Wonder Egg Priority is an excellent series with great characters and an intriguing narrative that unfortunately doesn't hit the mark with its conclusion. Its soundtrack is amazing, the animation is impeccable, the action scenes never cease to be entertaining, and the horror aspect of the show is executed proficiently. Despite how I feel about how the ending was handled, I could see myself rewatching this show again in the future. It wouldn't surprise me if years from now some people look back on the show and think of it as a beloved classic. I definitely recommend checking the show out if you like slice of life or horror series. So what did you think about this show? Let me know in the comment section below, and as always, thank you guys for watching. I'm out of here. Peace.